What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. It is Monday, which means we got cover two coming at you. Coach, my guy, how you doing, brother?
I hate your guts. We're not friends again. What's good,
It's all
man?
right. I got it, super fan. I understand.
Yeah, what's up, negative fan? What's good? How you doing? What's going on, brother?
That had people dead for days, bro.
That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one. I've been good, man. Just weathering the storms. Me and you we really haven't talked in a week since we had the last show. Are you guys getting snow down there?
And not even because we were beefing. It was just I was moving, and you say that on the heels of like the most contentious show ever, not realizing that like people have no idea that that's just how you and I talk to each other. Like that was
all the time.
What did we say? We did talk one time, and you're like, last show we really just gave people an insight as to a normal conversation between you and I
about how it really goes down.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
how much
100%.
we actually disagree on things. Yeah.
Did you guys get a lot of snow?
Oh, bro, it's Florida. It doesn't snow here. No,
That's true.
It's been cold though, bro. We've been let's see, we've been in the 30s quite a bit as of late. So that's here that's cold. It's very cold. People, know what's funny about Florida? People put plastic bags and stuff on their plants because they don't want them to die when it gets cold.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, here, man, we got it all. So we didn't get anything. I don't think we're going to get anything in the Washington, D.C. area this weekend. I think North Carolina's going to get the brunt of it. But this whole week has just been snow, building fires, shoveling snow, ice, riding up and down stuff. So, whoa, pause. But the snowstorm has basically been taking a lot of my attention. But it's good. We needed to take a break away from ball for a little while. And we got a lot to talk about. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Niner Mafia. Yeah, up north though. Florida's a big state, right? So I should clarify. It does snow every once in a while in Florida up north. It hasn't snowed in Tampa where I'm from in like 50 years or something crazy like that. So very, very rare. But yes, in Florida, technically up north, panhandle area, probably a little bit of snow. It's really Alabama, essentially. All right, let's get into it, man. A lot's happened since we talked last. Well, first of all, Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you saw, but I saw a picture of Levi Stadium today, and they had the Seahawks end zone painted in Levi Stadium. That one hurt my heart a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It was a little weird to see a Seahawks end zone painted in Levi Stadium, but I digress. The 49ers have hired Raheem Morris to be their defensive coordinator. I don't know about you. I was a little surprised by the hire, not in a bad way, but just, okay, they didn't go Gus Bradley, which made me feel really good. But overall, knowing that Raheem Morris is the new defensive coordinator, what are your thoughts on this?
I love the pickup. I think that this is somebody who, once again, can be able to get through to Kyle. Every season, there has to be some coach that is beyond reproach, right? That's just some coach that has Kyle's ear, some coach that can be able to get through to Kyle when it comes to understanding how different teams give them different looks. Kyle also does really good at being able to bounce off of his other coaches to be able to build game plans for different teams. Raheem Morris is a NFL guy. Right, he's not just a good coach; he's an NFL guy. Most of his entire career has been in the NFL. Did a little bit of light coaching in college, but for the most part, Raheem Morris not only knows the NFL, but he knows Kyle, and he knows the system. So much so that Raheem Morris actually, check me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Raheem Morris was actually on the offensive staff of Sean McVay when he was with the Rams. He wasn't on the defensive staff when he was there. He was on the offensive staff. So Raheem Morris is he's class personified. That's an idiom I haven't pulled out in a long time, but it's true. He is. This is somebody who, I hate to say it, but you can never think of anybody laterally in to Coach Saleh, but I mean, we're talking about a guy that kind of hits all the marks, check box as far as like inside the enclave of the outside zone offensive system, has the history with Kyle and all of the other coaches here, knows our rivals and has played and coached, has coached with them intimately so he can help us out in situations during the season. You couldn't really pick the better guy than Raheem Morris. On top of all of the head coaching experiences he has. So I think it's a slam dunk, man. Honestly, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. On top of the fact that he's versatile. And some are saying that he's more versatile in his off-defensive approach than Robert Saleh was. So we keep saying that they can't pull rabbits out their hats, man, but they got an orchard back there somewhere where they're getting these motherfuckers. Like, they keep finding them.
Yeah, they definitely keep finding him. He was the defensive coordinator for the Rams. However, you are right in the fact that he has some offensive background as well. A lot of offensive background. In fact, him and Kyle met. He was basically I want to say he was the defensive back coach for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
He was a defensive back coach for the Buccaneers when Kyle was like basically interning as a coach for the Bucs. Yeah, real young under John Gruden. So that's how far back they go. But when he was with the Falcons, he was on the Falcons staff in 2016 and 2017. He was a wide receiver coach. Yeah, receiver coach, pass game coordinator. So a lot like Kyle, a lot of people don't realize this, but Kyle actually started out on defense himself. And so
Jesse,
on offense,
if you have it I'm sorry. If you have it in front of you, Jess, what did he serve as? What capacity did he serve under at Washington?
Washington, let me take a look. Because
he was there with Washington, with Sean McVay, LaFleur. He was
defensive backs coach.
Okay, in 2012. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And then that was 2012 to 2014. Then he went to the Falcons in 2015 and he was a defensive pass game coordinator. But then in 16 and 17, he was a wide receiver coach and a offensive pass game coordinator. So he's done a little bit of both. And the reason this is important and the reason that you like it so much, a lot of the same reason that we like the Kyle side of it is, if you know the rules of the offense, then you can put them in conflict. Like you can use all their rules against them. And so because he does have that offensive background, a little bit of an offensive background for a couple years, that's extremely, extremely important. And it allows you to be very versatile. Now, there are some things that it's not a perfect hire, right? And there never is a quote unquote perfect hire, in my opinion. If you go look at just his defensive rankings, his point rankings, they're not going to be great for the most part. But what I do like about it is that he brings something, to your point, completely different to the table. He does prefer to run a 3-4 base, not a 4-3. So I'm curious to see what happens here. Does he run a 3-4 base? Is he going to run a 4-3? If he runs a 3-4, how does Bosa fit in? Bosa in the past has said he likes to play with his hand in the dirt, so I'm curious to see how that works. And then the other thing is that he's a lot more aggressive than what we're normally used to. He blitzes a lot more. So his philosophy is really very different from what Kyle Shanahan prefers, and it makes you wonder, there's obviously going to be some compromise. I just hope that Kyle Shanahan isn't like, okay, man, like I trust you, but you're running my system, so figure it out. Like, let him do what he's going to do and what he feels comfortable with.
I agree with that. Another thing that came to mind as well is that this one has the potential to stick. What I've been meaning by that is that we've had a lot of guys come in and out of here. We can't hold on to coaches, especially coaches that do well.
We're like a single mom who introduces every boyfriend to their kids. It's like, whoa, can you calm down?
It's a revolving door.
Like, can you make sure that they're at least special and they're here for a couple seasons before you introduce them?
It's Mr. John. All right, it ain't Uncle John yet. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you got to slow down on the uncles. All right, too many uncles, ma. But the problem, one thing that I see with our team is that we can't retain talent from the coaching staff, and it hurts the defensive and it hurts the cohesiveness, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. But this one has the potential to stick, Jesse. I don't know. Raheem Morris has had a lot of stints at head coach. He's had his chances, and at this stage of his career, isn't this maybe his third head coaching job?
Morris? He's had two.
Yeah.
He's had two. But bro, he's
Yeah.
not going to get a third, not for if ever.
It's going to be a
It'll long
while,
time.
bro.
Yes,
I hate
yes.
to put it that way, but it's going to be a while. That's just the way the league works. That may
Yep.
be to the benefit of us. We may
Hmm.
actually get some guys in here that are a little bit outside of the wide nine, get some more bodies in here that probably are versatile towards the 34, be able to keep Raheem for a couple of more years to build some continuity and development with some guys. I'll tell you one thing that I haven't done that everybody's pretty much going to do, but I want to start looking at first round picks picked by Raheem Morris when he was the head coach or defensive coordinator of a team. I want to look at the picks that he's got in the development with those guys that he picked on. Like, what's his preference? What does Raheem Morris like to go for? That would lend a lot of perspective into what we could expect out of Alfred Collins and Michael Williams moving down the line, right? Or, hey, there may be some guys, like my guy right now that I'm in love with is Peter Woods. D-tackle out of Clemson. I think Peter Woods is a dog. He's not going to be there at 27, but he's this year's Walter Nolan to me, right? Yes, a God-given first step explosion guy. Is that a Raheem Morris guy? Right? So it's exciting to just see what's in our building now, what type of athletes and development that we can count on. Also, the same thing about having Coach Saleh in here. We got our special teams coordinator because of Coach Saleh being in here. I wonder if Raheem Morris being here gives us a leg up on Kyle Pitts. You never know. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, how
I'm
is
just
that
saying,
relationship? Yeah.
exactly. However that relationship was, especially some young guys that may be on their way out or maybe assets on that practice squad milling around in Atlanta. You know how that's going to work. A lot of that stuff's going to matriculate over here. So I'm excited about the pickup way more than just the head coach aspect of it. He brings a lot of cachet. He's been around the league, right? He's a voice. He helps our reputation bringing in Raheem Morris. So I love the pickup.
Well, I'll tell you right now. So the last two picks with Atlanta, or last two drafts with Atlanta, last year, remember they traded the Rams for their first round pick. So the Rams have a second first round pick this year because Atlanta's trade. But he was able to he got Jalen Walker and James Pearson last year's draft in round one. And James Pierce had 10.5 sacks. Walker had 5.5, and he missed a few games. I think he missed 2 games and he had 5.5 sacks. The year before, they took Michael Penix in round one, but other than that, they took Rook Aroro. Remember that guy?
Rook Aroro.
Yeah. I love my favorite thing was watching Larry say it because I have no idea how to say it, but it just sounded like he was adding too many row. I was like a row your boat. What is going on? He took Brandon Dorless out of defensive end out of Oregon, who had 8.5 sacks as a rookie. So listen, he gets production real quick with his defensive ends. I'll tell you that real quick. So he's aggressive. He does like smaller frame guys coming off the edge, more speed guys. So I don't know. I don't know how Bosa fits into that. I do. Like I said, I know Bosa likes to play with his hand in the dirt. He's talked about that. So I don't know what's going to happen. Does that mean that Bosa's on the, could be moved? Could he be had? I don't know. There's a lot of questions that I have, but what I can say is this is different than the status quo, and I like it. I'm happy with the hire.
Where was Atlanta's defense ranked last year?
Well, not. I know that it wasn't. I think it was
good?
in points 19. I want to say
19.
That's what I'm saying. If you look at his points per game, man, rankings, they haven't been great. I'll just be honest with you. I was looking at that. So defensive points per game. Now they're better than Gus Bradley's. I'll give you that right now. Mm-hmm. So his defense and points have gone as such as a head coach in DC. 27th, 9th, 32nd, 19th, 19th, 15th, 21st, 19th, 23rd, and 19th. So 19th last year in points.
Damn. Smell of the pack. Where were we? 16?
In points last year? Let me check Robert Saleh real quick.
We got ran up on a couple of times, didn't we?
I don't know. We had a terrible schedule.
What are you looking up?
I'm looking at Pro Football Reference. We were 13th last year.
Uh-huh.
So Robert
Okay.
Saleh's rankings were 20th, 32nd, 6th, 21st, 31st, 29th, 8th, 20th, and 23rd. Robert Saleh is either really good or really bad. There's no in between for Robert, I notice.
Yeah.
Where Raheem kind of just sits like middle of the pack area as far as points. But you know what I do want to know actually here? Let me check something real quick because what this doesn't say is I want to know about takeaways. So
Hold on,
Robert
Jesse.
Saleh, yeah, go ahead.
We're tripping.
What's up?
Raheem Morris was the head coach of the Falcons in 2020.
No, he wasn't. He was with the Rams defensive coordinator.
I'm looking
Or
at it right
2020.
now.
No, he was a defensive coordinator and interim head coach with the Falcons. Then he went to the Rams and was a D
Then he went to the
coordinator
Rams as
2020
a D coordinator. Yeah, okay.
in
I
2021,
was about,
2023.
I remember him being a head coach outside of Tampa Bay
Tampa.
earlier on.
Tampa,
Yeah.
no, Tampa, and then he went to the Falcons the last 2 years. Yeah, he was with Tampa a long time ago. He was the young hot thing.
He was the young
on
hot thing.
defense.
Then, what was that quarterback he had? That big ass kid with the curly hair.
Yeah. It was
He was huge.
light skinned dude, right?
Light skinned guy. He went to Virginia,
Yeah.
I think. Or
I
Washington.
forget his name. I know
what
who
was
you're
that
talking
kid's
about.
name? He was
I
big
know,
as
I
hell.
He was big, and he just never did anything.
He
kinda sucked.
never panned out.
Yeah,
That kid
but
was-
everybody loved him. He got a bunch of chances. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Josh Freeman.
Josh Freeman. Yes, Josh Freeman.
Yeah, I
There we
remember
go.
Josh Freeman. Yeah.
I remember him. I remember him too. So, anyways, again, but there's a lot of context that goes into that. Like Robert Saleh, for example, we have context as to why, last season he was ranked 13th. They would have been top 3 in points if he had his healthy defense. So there's context to everything. There's a lot of context that if you have bad offenses like Raheem Morris has always had, then your defense isn't going to be good either because they're put in bad positions on a regular basis. So that's where the pairing is good is Kyle Shanahan is going to put together an offense that allows Raheem Morris to be protected on defense and vice versa. So I really like it personally. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it fits. The biggest thing with the Niners is that I feel like they always put the personality first. We've got to talk about that too. Because I saw something you tweeted about what Dante Whitner had said about the type of guys that the Niners are drafting. I disagreed with that.
Can I tell you one thing real quick before we get off
Okay.
the Raheem Morris thing? Because I do want to talk about this. One thing that we're going to love as 49er fans, we complain a lot about not getting takeaways. And if you look at Robert Saleh, he hasn't ranked very well in takeaways as a defensive coordinator. Raheem Morris is very aggressive. So last year, they were ranked 19th in points. They were 7th in takeaways. And he's constantly near the top 10 in takeaways. So
Trying to take the
that's
ball
one
away.
thing that he brings. He's very aggressive and they will take the ball away. They will take the ball away. So they'll be ball hawks. Anyways, you disagree with the Whitner and my take around Whitner. Do you want to lay out the take real quick or do you want me to do it so that people know?
I can definitely do it, or we can go ahead and you want to share screen real quick because I found the tweet.
Sure. Well, no. Okay. Yeah. Here. You added it there?
Yeah, I got it up.
There we go.
All right,
there.
so basically, here goes the tweet, man. And I love Dante Whitner. I think he's a great football mind. I think he's one of the best type of football minds because he's current, right? He's still got a little bit of player left in him. So he's not jaded by like being able to sit on your ass and, armchair quarterback everything, right? So this is the tweet. Dante Whitner says the 49ers need to change their mindset with how they draft players. I think it's time for the 49ers to get away from the safe draft picks. The guys who are easy to control in the locker room. It's time to go and get guys from the inner city, from Ohio State, Georgia, just like the Philadelphia Eagles did. If I want to control that environment, put it on the player development part. You need to go get guys who have some off-field issues. You need to get guys who have anger issues. You need to get guys who refuse not to be great football players. We need to go and get some dogs. That's what it's going to take to compete. So let's unpack this. We can
So let me give my take on top of that because it was slightly different. Although I understood what he was saying, right? Like I totally understand what he was saying. My take is, listen, I'm not trying to get all crazy with just major malcontents. My point is, and it has been a couple years where I've said this. In fact, I remember getting people trying to pack me up in spaces for saying this 2 years ago. And my takes never change, which is I want some guys who, when things aren't going well, will grab a teammate by a face mask on the sideline and hold them accountable. And I'm not talking the kicker, right? I'm not talking running up on a kicker for missing some kicks like that. That's about as weak as it gets. I hate how that happened. I'm talking about your teammates, and not in an aggressive way, or but the way I like aggression, the way that Chris Jones brings aggression and passion to the game, where younger Chris Jones would get in a teammate's face. I don't like when Trent Williams gets mad after the game's over and starts fighting the other team. Like, where was that mid-game when you were getting your asses kicked with your own teammates? That's what I'm talking about. So anyways, go ahead.
So I get what he's saying, and there is an opportunity where we can, based on who's saying it, we can play around with the margins. Now, you do understand that if a white former player was to say this would come off so differently. Can we agree to that? That if there was, let's say if Pat McAfee said this about the 49ers, do you think that there will be somebody who would take umbrage? Like they would take offense to what he's trying to say?
I mean, I think people take offense to fucking everything nowadays. We're a bunch of pussies as a society. But that's beside the point. Yeah, probably.
Really
It'd come off a little different.
Right. And I get the sentiment of we need guys who play to the echo of the whistle. But I think we have that. I think we are a physical team. We're just not talented. Right? There's a difference with being tough and being talented, right? I know guys, I did security for a really long time. And listen, there's a lot of tough guys who can't fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a lot of guys who love to get in the scuffle, and they don't got no emotional intelligence, and they gonna jump off the deep end. Come at me, bro. And those are the first dudes that I'm picking up off the ground like dirty laundry. So having the willingness to fight, or having the willingness to not get punked, or let's just call it don't get bitched, that's a different ball game. You can find that in Stanford, because that's about being a man. That ain't about coming from the inner city. Now, if you want some guys to come from your hard-headed areas, we've had those guys. We had a Reuben Foster who came from an inner city, came up to Alabama, then came here, and he was an issue. We had another guy who came from a different background in Javon Kinlaw, whose background was talked about ad nauseum about what he had to go through, and this kid is tough as nails. He was a mental midget when it came time to handling big, tough situations during football games. We saw that. We looked at tons of guys. Deebo Samuel, he's got to come up in. That boy's from South Cac in the middle of the mud. He comes up here and has showed us lack of intestinal fortitude all the time. I done coached some kids that come from the gutter of the gutter. And I done coached kids that come from the silverest of spoons, man. But when you strap them pads on, we all equal, right? It don't matter where you come from. Now, I get what he's saying. The Niners tend to draft the personality first over the traits. And what you don't want to hear when you're a team that's trying to go for a Super Bowl, or a team that's trying to be better than you were last year, especially in areas that you need to get better at, the last thing you want to hear is how much of a great guy this guy is, and he's a part of the honor society, and he knows how to recite all of the 49ers Super Bowl rosters, like all of this like gee whiz, American is apple pie stuff. Nobody wants to hear that stuff. Yeah. But one thing that I will tell you, though, is that football is way too physical a game to be picking guys that ain't built for the sport. So I don't know what he means by that when he talks about, like, going to get guys from Ohio State and Georgia. We got guys from Ohio State and Georgia, right? We got guys that are first-round picks from Ohio State and Georgia. And then we got guys that were 5 stars from Georgia that are ass. Like a Robert Bill Jr., 5-star athlete, played at UGA. The word on Robert Bill Jr. was he wasn't getting enough time. He was so damn good. That's why he was going to make it here. Hasn't done anything with us, right? So we got all of those guys who want to talk tough. You know, you can't be a thug in pads, man. You got to pick a side. Like either you want to be a football player who knows how to be professional and be tough in situations when it calls for toughness, or you want to be a tough guy where you got to get emotionally engaged to be able to get yourself there. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what don't last, though. The emotional shit. It don't last. You know, and I'll close with this. You can't. I know the Eagles won a Super Bowl, but one of the main reasons why we beat the Eagles this year in the first round of the playoffs on the road is because they weren't tougher than us. They weren't a more physical team than us. They weren't tougher than us. They weren't mentally tougher than us. They weren't smarter than us. They weren't more well-coached than we were. And that's why we whooped their ass. So that's why I don't want to get caught up in bringing in personalities where it's like we're going to thug our way to a win. That ain't the way. That ain't the way. Because when the motherfuckers jump off sides and we can't even line up correctly, I'm like, well, there go your thugs. You wanted your thugs. There you go, your thugs. Thugs don't do nuance. All right, so have at it. I just don't want it.
I think. I mean, I don't know that he necessarily like articulated it the best way, and maybe I'm just taking it way out of context and putting my own spin on it, and because I've got an opinion that is kind of falls in the middle of this whole thing, and that's where I'm just like, well, this is probably what he meant. But like for me, when I look at it and say the 49ers have a locker room full of really good dudes and I'm not saying like they're not tough, because George Kittle's tough. Jawan Jennings is tough. Trent Williams is tough. Like Brock Purdy's tough. You know, just because you're clean cut doesn't, I mean, Brock Purdy's a tough dude too. You know, there's some tough guys on this team. Fred Warner, you know, they're Lenore.
Who was tougher than us in 2019?
That's just it. That's just it. So like, that's the difference, right? Like we've lost that physical dominance over the last few years, right? And it happens. Like it's just naturally happened where we're just not the biggest team off the bus anymore, and we're not the most physically dominant. Debo was tough, you know. Like we've had those guys, but this locker room is so good that it can absorb a bad apple every once in a while. Like it can, as long as they bring a different dynamic. I'll give you an example. A tough guy who I don't think is, well, he's kind of turned into a bad apple, at least in fans' eyes. But when I heard about the Brandon Ayuk Fred Warner fight on the field, I thought that was the best thing in the world. I loved that. I loved that Brandon Ayuk was willing to go and literally square up with Fred Warner. I loved that mentality, that competitive mentality that I'm out here competing. I don't care if we're teammates. Like, I'm going to get the best of you. You've been cheap shotting my guys all day long. I've had enough. Let's go. I like that mentality. And I think Dante Whitner likes that mentality too. To your point, yes, you don't want a bunch of dumb idiots that are just out there getting penalties. We get on Jawan Jennings when he does it and he seems to be excessive. I understand that. But the 49ers, because of the Reuben Foster thing, have gone so far the other way where they won't even like take a chance on a player like that. So when I hear like Jordan Addison might be a target for the 49ers, I'm like, okay, like Jordan Addison's got a checkered past a little bit. Like, I'm at least happy that they're willing to look into players like this. Kansas City's had quite a few of these guys over the years, and they've been fine. Like, you can absorb a player or two like that every once in a while and make it work if you've got a nucleus in place the way that the 49ers do. I think that's what he's trying to say. You don't want a team
Bring
full
up
of
the
them.
super chat. Bring up all day, every day.
Which one?
Let's get to it. Let's do it.
Which one? The $10 one or which one?
Bring up the last one. We got to do it.
Okay.
You got to do it.
You sound like a sellout coach. I Shit you
I
not.
shit you not.
It ain't about being a thug. He's talking about dudes who've been through the struggle and who had to be tough. They had no other way.
All right, so let's ask this:
Okay.
Who who has been through the struggle that didn't make it to the NFL? What struggle? What struggle is some players going through that other players aren't going through? What does that mean? What struggle? You want us to get guys that struggled to get drafted? Is that the struggle you want? You want guys that struggled to get scholarships? What struggle are you talking about? They had no other way than to be tough. Bro, football, the sport in itself, is going to weed out people who are tough and who are not. Period. Okay? That is why it is very easy for us to see guys that are built like the Rock of Gibraltar, but play like pussies. Ergo, all of us saw Chase Young come here and dog it. He was not playing his ass off. Looked like Tarzan, played like Jane. So now all of a sudden you want me to have some type of cultural affinity to Chase Young because he's got dreads and he's light skinned and we know a couple of rap songs together? He ain't tough. If anything, what you're talking about to be able to delineate who is tough or not, who are tough, who's tough and who isn't tough, is by going off of stereotypes. So it's a slippery slope. So yes, I'm staying away from it because it's a double-edged sword. The moment your black ass gets up here talking about, yeah, we need guys to come in here that's tough, that's this, that, and the third, you'll be the first guy talking about why they don't respect black quarterbacks and why are they always trying to turn them into athletes. So it plays both ways, all right? You can't just get up here and talk about what's cool to say. Sometimes you have to look at what's right to do, all right? And we have been in this game, us have been in this game way too long to be categorized as some thugs or somebody who had to make a way. We're professionals who know how to do a job that we've been playing our whole lives. And we're capable of playing that job, doing that job at a tough level. You ain't got to be no thug to make it to the league.
I think again, I'm just inserting my opinion here and assuming this is what. Let me just say where I come from. I understand what all day, every day Kim is trying to say, and you and I have had this conversation on a personal level, right? Where I automatically just don't jive with people, and it's not because I'm intentionally seeking out or dismissing this type of individual. I just have never jived with this person, and I can smell it from a mile away, and I've never respected a person who doesn't come from some sort of struggle. Like people that had a silver spoon, didn't earn anything, were seemingly given everything paid for. Like you know those types of people in your life. And I think what all day, every day Cam is saying, and my thought about the organization as a whole is, it does feel like the 49ers are kind of that at times, where it's like, come on, man. Like, we don't have anybody, like nobody with a checkered past, like just nothing. Like we just,
True.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's like
I think it's more than just
it's
Reuben
the country
Foster,
club
Jess.
mentality though.
I get it. It is. It's very khakis and Dockers here. I get it. I see it. I'm not blind. I see that we tend to go on the lighter side of things on this roster. I get it. All right. I understand that we may not look like every NFL team when we roll off of the bus on Sundays.
And I want to clarify, like, this isn't about your skin color. This is just about what you've been through in life. Like, I do not, if you look at my friend circle, there's not a person that I'm genuinely friends with that doesn't come from some sort of shit. Like, it's just, I don't jive with people that haven't been through something in their life. Like, I struggled growing up, and so I identify with people that struggle. It has nothing to do with skin color. It's just, what have you been through? What have you been through in life? Like, what can you point to that was like, yeah, it wasn't fucking easy at times in my life, and that you had to push through that. If you don't have that in your life, it's not that I seek it out, but I just don't mess with people that haven't been through it because we just don't have things in common. Like, I don't have a commonality with you. And so I think when I look at a team, and so when we put it at the 49ers thing, how many times have we had the conversation where I was like, I don't know about you, but I remember when I grew up, the urban team was the 49ers. The suburban team was the Cowboys. I always identified with the 49ers. That's who my dad was a 49er fan, but they were a suburban team. Now, when you look at it, it's like, oh, well, they're in Silicon Valley and Santa Clara. And, we got all these dudes on our team that are all clean cut and this and that. And it's like, all right, well, now we're not even a suburban team anymore. We are a suburban team. We're not an urban team at all. Like, what are we talking about? So I understand I get it. I do understand what they're saying.
Okay, so from that standpoint, have we moved away from community? That's the conversation. Have we moved away from community as a team? Yes, as an organization, I do feel like they moved away from the community angle of promoting the team. I don't think that has a lot to do with Reuben Foster, too. I think that has a lot to do with Colin Kaepernick as well. It can be scary as an organization not knowing how to traverse through that and keep a fan base from going at each other when you feel like there's civil war happening within your fan base. So, yeah, did the Niners seem to be a little bit more skittish toward bringing in guys who have issues? Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they don't fall through the cracks whether or not if you're trying. I mean, listen, Brandon Ayuk is a nut job. He made it through. He got on the team. We had Juwan Jennings come on. He made it on the team. It is what it is. You're going to get guys that are going to be on the fringes of, man, this guy's kind of a live wire. You know what I mean? And I get that. Diamador Lenoir's got a hot head. All right, he's always playing outside of the lines of the game. We get that a lot from him. My biggest thing is I don't want to go so far on the other end of the spectrum that we're missing the point, period, which is the reason why we're not, quote unquote, a tough team is because we're an older team. We ain't young as we used to be. We don't have a lot of young dogs running around here who've got tons of energy, who really want to make a way. Juwan Jennings doesn't play like he used to. He still plays like his hair's on fire, but when Juwan first got here, my God, he was playing like a poor man.
He was trying to make a team. He was a poor man trying to make a team.
He was playing like a poor man. Exactly. When we had all of these young guys, they were playing like they were broke. So it ain't about the toughness or the lack thereof of the team. It's about being able to still motivate your roster when most of your roster goes from young, up-and-coming guys who want to make a name for themselves and have every opportunity in the world in front of them, vis-a-vis no veterans holding them back, right? And they're not paid. So once you get paid, what do you start doing? You're making business decisions. You got your way of which you play, all right? There's not a lot of young guys who are fighting for their money on this roster anymore. We pretty much got the top 20% of the roster locked, and everybody else is attached to 1 to 2 year deals. So really, what he's asking for is a younger team. A younger team. That's all we need.
It's the Marvin Hagler quote. It's tough to get out of bed and do road work at 5 a.m. when you're sleeping in silk sheets.
Yes!
That's it. That's basically it. That's what it comes down to.
Yes. It's hard. And all we're seeing is the success that we've had. All of the contracts and the constant fawning over us and how great this roster is. These dudes, they expect it now. Not they work for it, they expect it. And we see it, right? And it really hurts when you run into a team like Seattle where they're young, they're hungry, and let's not forget the most important part, they're all broke. Nobody has been paid yet over there. That's why them dudes.
Ooh. What happened to Coach? He got clipped. He got sniped. Oh, no. We'll see when Coach. He was cooking, though. He was cooking. All right. Well, listen, while we're waiting for Coach, I might as well do some sleeper here. Let's do that real quick. We'll get Coach back in a second. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Shout out to StreamYard. Anyways, get a 100% deposit match of up to $100 when you use promo code LSS. I don't know what happened, Coach. You were cooking, but I'm just going to do this ad read real quick. Sleeper, you can get a 100% deposit match of up to $100 when you use promo code LSS. This is the last time that you can use Sleeper in the NFL season. The Super Bowl is right around the corner. Link is pinned to the top of the description. Check them out. Get your free $20 play when you use promo code LSS. Let's put together a Sleeper Super Bowl card real quick. So, Kenneth Walker, you think he gets in the end zone or no?
Yes.
I agree. We're taking this Ramondre Stevenson at 39.5 rushing yards. I think he's gone over 70 for 4 straight games, so I feel good about that one. Let's see here. JSN 94.5 receiving yards, more or less.
More.
All right. And then
JSN's their guy.
I know he is. He's their. I'm going to go with Matt Collins with more than 28.5 too. He could get that on one catch. And Rashid Shaheed, I'm going to go more on the reception. Ooh, this is a big entry here. This is a big one. All right, so $10 to win 135. We're going Kenneth Walker on the more for the anytime touchdown. Rashid Shaheed needs just 2 catches. JSN needs more than 94.5 receiving yards. Matt Collins needs more than 28.5 receiving yards. And Ramondre Stevenson needs more than 39.5 rushing yards. I feel really good about that one. $10 to win 135.90. That is the Super Bowl picks. You can tail me or you can fade me, but either way, use promo code LSS to get your free $20 play and your 100% deposit match. All right, Coach. Let me add you back in here. You were I don't even remember what we were just talking about. We were talking about being young, basically.
No, we were talking about basically the difference between, an aggressive team is really the youth and the money.
Yep.
And
it's a good call.
Who do you got winning this one?
Oh, good call. Super Bowl. Seattle, man, they gotta win. They're a way more put together team. They just are. Have you seen the path to the Super Bowl that the Patriots have had?
Nah, they played the Broncos. They beat Houston.
Well, just overall, they've had like 10 teams on their schedule that fired their head coaches. They've played like 8 backup quarterbacks through the course of the season. Like it's been they've kind of gotten everything's just kind of fallen into place for them. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I'm taking the Seahawks. I hope that I'm rooting for the Patriots, that's for sure. But I just think the Seahawks are too put together, man. And now that Sam Darnold did what he did, I got to give him respect, man. He earned all my respect in that game. He really did. Yeah. He really did.
I feel like that was a putting us on notice game for Sam. Like you can't look at me the same way anymore.
No, no.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it's looking like Seattle may win in our crib, man. If the Patriots pull it off, man, that would be unreal because I don't see it. I will say this. Seattle's led by their defense. I don't think that they can keep up offensively. If the Patriots find a way to score on Seattle's defense, like, is Drake May really the guy? Are you a believer?
Yes and no. I mean, I like Drake May as a prospect, and he's had a good season. You got to put together a few seasons for me. People hate it, but I'm very consistent with it. They hated it when I do it with Brock Purdy or did it with Brock Purdy, but I've done it with guys that I really love and CJ Stroud, and I'm doing it with Drake May and Caleb Williams when he struggled and Jaden Daniels. I gotta see 3 full seasons of you. I gotta see it, man. I can't. Yeah, sure, he's on a great trajectory.
Yeah,
but give me
we felt
season.
this way about Jaden Daniels last year.
That's what I'm saying. And, CJ Stroud is rookie year. Like, I got to see you put it together. I can't just crown you. This league has a way of humbling everybody. It just does. It doesn't matter who you are. It was
how
like,
good you think you are.
As much as I loved Colin Kaepernick as a player and all the political stuff and all that BS aside, like he was so electric and so dynamic. But it got to a point where it was like, he's still keeping ready. It's like, bro, you've been out of the league for so long. We watched what happened to Deshaun Watson. He sat out for a season and came back and was never the same. You cannot miss that much time and expect to just come in and be great. Phillip Rivers, that was cool what he did for a game or two, but this league it will humble you. And you've got to be able to put together seasons of production before you get that respect. You just do. So he looks great now, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Is he
Okay.
really that much different than Sam Darnold as far as like what he brings physically to the game?
I think he
Not
seems to
really.
feel better than Sam.
I'm saying fit from a physical aspect. They both got big
Oh, no,
arms.
no,
They're
no.
both big
They're
guys. They
the
both
same.
are deceptively mobile. Like if he can put it together quicker up here, sure. You know, maybe he can be a better prospect. But they're very similar as far as like what they bring physically. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's get to some super chats. Dmitry Dimitrov says, Omar Cooper Jr., no matter what, let Raheem cook. He got this. I haven't even started looking at prospects, so I have no idea who this is, but I'm sure he's great.
Dude, Woods, man. I'm trying to tell you, the D tackle from Clemson, you got to look at him.
Okay. Where is he
kid
projected
is-
to go?
I think he's maybe a little bit too rich for our blood, to be real with you. But he's like 4th overall. Peter Woods, he's like 4th overall ranked D tackle in this year's draft. But this year's draft, I'll say this. I've been geeking out over the draft since I haven't been paying attention to the Niners. This year's draft, receiver, defensive tackle, and running back, tons.
Okay.
Loaded. If there was ever a time to get a running back, this would be the draft. If D tackles, we've had basically 3 drafts in a row that have given us great D-line drafts. This is another good D-line draft. We're kind of getting blessed, Jesse. I told you things were falling our way, man. Picked up Raheem Morris. That's one domino. It's a domino.
It is.
I know you're not excited, but I'm just saying.
No, I do like the Raheem Morris pickup. I really do. I made a video about it yesterday, like a quick short, and I nothing but good things to say about it. I really like the Raheem Morris pick. Corey wants to know our Super Bowl picks. We just gave them. Seahawks reluctantly. Too Much Sauce says Chris Kocurek is a top 3 D-line coach in the league. I mean, I guess. Listen,
I don't know.
Can I say
I
this
don't
about Chris
know.
Kocurek? It's not a popular thing to say, probably, but
Say it.
like, how many? My question is how many D-line coaches do you know in the league? Like, to say this, we are fed Chris Kocurek like it's the only thing to eat in the cupboard, right? That's all we know. But how many lifetime defensive line coach, offensive line coaches do you know around the league, period, that you can go by name? You know his name. You like that he's fiery. You like that everybody that talks about him says he's good. And so you think that he's a good coach. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But what about, I'm sure there's plenty of other good D-line coaches in this league that are just, we don't even know exist. So we're not fawning over defensive line coaches and wide receiver coaches. Like, it's just not a thing. That's just not what we do. So,
Saying you have a really good D-line coach is like talking about your optometrist. She's like, I got a guy, man. He's phenomenal. He'll get you out the way.
yeah, I don't,
We'll see, man.
All day, every day, Kim says, hey, coach, there's also a literal millionaire.
Literally a million other examples.
Literally a million other examples where the inner city toughness comes into play big time. You did not touch upon those.
No, there's ways why being from your background, I think you're looking at this wrong. There is a plus from being from any background that could fall onto the tapestry of the NFL. All right.
Yeah.
If you went to a big time school and had a silver spoon in your mouth, guess what? We're bringing you in for your structure. We're bringing you in because you know how things are ran. You'll be a good guy in the locker room and you'll know how things are done. We're bringing in a guy that comes from the inner city. Good. We know a guy that can be able to handle a schedule in front of him. He's not going to have to be hand-fed and he's not going to have to be spoon-fed to be able to give everything. He's got tough skin. He'll be able to handle himself. So you don't take where a kid is from and then automatically vilify another kid because he's not from that same background. That's not the way you pick up players. I'm not here to say, but just the same way that I would not pick up a kid because he's a quote unquote thug is the same way I wouldn't pick up a kid because he comes from a good program. Or I went over his house and he's got a good mom and dad at home. That doesn't move me. That's just another reason why I know why he ticks. That's it. But I thank you for being a good sport about it. I did kind of lay you down in the first one. Thank you, man.
Clarence's parents got a real good marriage. Hey, sorry. I was actually, as you were talking and while this conversation came back up, I'll give you two separate sides of this with white players, right? It doesn't have to be skin color. And that's why I said none of that matters to me. Max Crosby, Nick Bosa.
Come on. Right? Two different backgrounds.
Two completely different backgrounds.
Hey, and it is what it is, but you can't sit here and say that Nick Bosa's not tough because he went to St. Thomas Aquinas and basically had a curated football career with a daddy in the NFL and a brother who was in front of him, then goes to Ohio State. Basically a curated football career. He's never had to play on the team. He's never had to play on a bad team or a struggling program. But you look at what Max Crosby's been through, he had to come out of rehab to get into the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's two different backgrounds, but you get to the same thing. So, yeah, I don't want to say that guys from, checkered past or rough areas are completely looked at as either an asset or not an asset in the NFL. But what I'm saying is that when you start categorizing those guys, more oftentimes than not, the guys who get mischaracterized are black players. So it's a double-edged sword. You don't want to play with that. That's all I'm saying. The same way you could say that I want nothing but thugs. You were the same dude on here complaining about us not giving Trey Lance enough time because everybody was saying he wasn't tough enough. Let's give him a shot. So it plays both ways, bro.
Sir Cash Money, it's been a while since I've seen one of his funny super chats. Says, just heard from a source close to the 49ers that next year the organization will be selling game tickets in exchange for money. Thoughts on this? Thanks, Sir Cash Money. Listen, this is a tangled web that we weave. So let me unpack that one and I'll get back to you. All day, every day, Kim says, Coach Cowherd, you're always straddling the fence. This is going back 20, 30 minutes ago when you guys were back and forth. So just, heads up.
Yeah, we're good to go.
All day, every day, Kim says, oh, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about dudes from the street. Don't act stupid. Okay, we've been through it all. 11th, the House of Zena says, we need 2 to 3 players with split personalities, but they got to be talented. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The locker room can absorb a guy or two. I get it early on. The Reuben Foster thing really did like this. John Lynch talks about this. It was a bit much, and it was one of their first picks. So I get why it was like, oh, let's ease up a little bit. But now we're 10 years into this thing. You can take on a personality or two. And that's why if they are interested in Addison, it makes sense as to why. It's like, all right, we're kind of past this. All day, every day, Kim says, yeah, Lamar Jackson had to suffer from the same thing, man. Your corner, bro, go get a MAGA hat. Who's he talking about? Is he talking about you?
I don't know. But you're arguing by paying us money, which is awesome. So keep it up, Kim.
Well said, Jesse. Okay, so I think he came around. We were on the same page as far as what we were talking about. Okay. Blue Bronco says Coach got Belichick.
Belichick. Yeah, when I left.
Oh, yeah, when you got clipped. Yeah, you definitely got clipped. That was nasty work that they did to him. Steven
How do you feel about that?
Bro, that is if he's not a first ballot, then I don't know who is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How many rings do you got to have? I get it.
You know what I think hurting it? He's just so blatant about it, though. He just doesn't give a fuck. Like you got caught cheating, Coach. He just doesn't care. I don't know.
Tom Brady was the quarterback of those teams. Is he not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer or what? Or because he won in Tampa?
The same thing, man. They made it do the same thing to him. The selection's mean, man.
Yeah,
I'm sure Nick Saban did love Reuben Foster when he didn't have to have him with millions of dollars in his pocket.
Yeah. Stephen Draper says, do what hungry do and get a hungry crew. All right. Appreciate you, Stephen. Cryptic says, why are we high on Raheem? Is it because it's a good switch up from what we do? I still think it's a wait and see because he's never really had a top 10 defense. I hear you.
That's fair.
That's fair. It's totally fair. It is. But the reason I'm high on it is because it shows change and growth. That assuming that he's able to do what he wants to do, then this is Kyle saying, hey, it doesn't have to be wide nine, four down linemen. We can mix things up a little bit. This is something different than what he's done in the past. So I think it shows growth from Kyle. That's the reason why I like it more than anything.
There's a possibility that he could just literally do exactly what Kyle wants to. We have to say that.
No, there is. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying on the surface, it looks like
I
it
love
could be
it.
changed.
I love it too, but we do got to leave a room. We got to leave some room for crazy.
Yeah,
There could be. I'm getting nauseous even saying this, but there could be a scenario where Raheem Morris just comes in and he's just like, he's a cookie cutter version of whatever Kyle wants. They just run exactly the vanilla defenses that he wants. And we could be sitting here in week 5 on a cover 2 next year asking about whatever happened to all the blitzes and the unique looks that Raheem Morris is supposed to bring to the team. When's the last time we ran 34? Have you even seen 3-4? Like, so I don't put anything past him.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't either. Just on the surface, it sounds good. Dazza says, is Kosiric really that good? Look at all the draft picks we invested in free agent acquisitions, and our D line still sucks. So I'm saying, man,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm
not saying that Coach Kosiric is bad
he's
either.
great.
I just think that he gets a lot of love. And I think the knock on him is that when things are bad, he doesn't receive nearly as much criticism as he does praise when things are good.
Okay, I want to run something by you. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about this at all, so you may not be prepared for this because this could go deep. But
okay.
And by the way, we got to 0 of our actual topics per usual, so we'll save that for another time. And we're way too late to dive into this now. But the question I had for you was. LaFleur got hired, right? So LaFleur and Kubiak got jobs. And so from that, McVay's getting a lot of his coaching tree. LaFleur just got a job, and it's McVay's coaching tree. And a lot of people are like, oh, man, that's a Shanahan hire. I mean, how come Shanahan doesn't get any credit? Can we define what a coaching tree constitutes of? Like, to me, a coaching tree is, it can't be you were an offensive coordinator and you had some obscure assistant under you for a couple years, and so now they're a part of your coaching tree. To me, your coaching tree starts when you're a head coach and one of your coordinators that worked under you as an offensive or defensive coordinator gets promoted. That's a part of your coaching tree. Like LaFleur being a pass game coordinator for the Washington Redskins when you were the offensive coordinator, that is not your coaching tree. I'm sorry. Like, people are all up in arms. Why isn't Shanahan getting love for this? I don't know. We got to define coaching tree because.
All right. So
I don't know what it is.
The way I've always understood coaching trees is that you are under the tree of the oldest coach you've worked for, right? In the youngest part of your career. So if, like, the truth of the matter is that all of them are under Mike Shanahan, right? That's their tree, right? That's the tree. I don't think that Kyle can have a tree unless he's won a Super Bowl. Kyle's got to win. So Kyle's still a branch off of that. I think that Sean McVay has a tree because he won. So Sean McVay's tree will be Matt LaFleur, Zach Taylor, Brandon Staley, Kevin O'Connell, Liam Cohen, Mike LaFleur, and Clint Kubiak. That would be under Sean, in my opinion, because he won with those guys on his staff.
Like, okay, I'm going to give you his career real quick. Mike LaFleur. And this is, people lost their mind on Twitter. He's a Shanahan coaching tree. All right. So I'll get past all of his college stuff. In the NFL, he was an offensive intern for the Browns, 2014. 2015 and 16, he was an offensive assistant. So under Shanahan's as an offensive coordinator, Shanahan was the offensive coordinator.
Who?
Then he was the, this is Mike LaFleur, okay, who just got the Arizona Cardinals job.
Wait a minute. Can we say something really quickly, though? Mm-hmm. You have to be a head coach for a coach to be under your
Thank you.
tree. You
Thank
cannot be a coordinator who had an assistant and that assistant then moved on and got another job. He's not a part of your tree. Whoever the head coach was while you were a coordinator, that's who that assistant is. That's why I keep saying that, truthfully, they're all under Mike Shanahan's tree. Kyle doesn't have a tree because Kyle was not a head coach until 2017 when he got here. So all of those coaches that people like to say that are under Kyle's tree, LaFleur, McVay, Morris, O'Connell, all of those guys, those are Kyle's colleagues. Those are the same guys who he has switched ideas with, that they have worked under him as subordinates inside of the coaching staff. But make no mistake about it, coaching staffs are meritocracies, okay? They are led by one guy. It is the head coach. There's no general manager on the coaching staff. Everybody answers to the head coach. So none of these guys that Kyle gets, and they all love to slip it in on television. Oh, Coach Shanahan's tree is ridiculous. Majority of, and none of those guys are really under Kyle Shanahan. They coached with him, some of them under his father, right? So even Raheem Morris is not under Coach Shanahan's tree because when he coached on the offensive staff, Coach Quinn was the head coach. He's under Dan Quinn's coaching tree, not Kyle Shanahan. So Kyle Shanahan's true tree didn't start until he started coaching in San Francisco. That's it. Everything else did.
I think you have to, the way that I understand a tree, the way I've always looked at a tree, is you're either an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. And when you get hired to be a head coach, whoever your head coach was that you were a coordinator for, you're under their tree now.
100%.
So for example, Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans and Mike McDaniel, those are Kyle Shanahan coaching tree guys. That's his coaching tree. Those are his three guys. Those are the guys that have gotten head coaching jobs as an offensive or defensive coordinator under him. The rest of those guys, the Michael LaFleurs, the Matt LaFleurs, the Cone, like all those guys, those are
assistants.
McVay guys. They're
all
guys.
McVay guys. Yeah, Coach McVay Sean McVay was the head coach when he had Zach Brown. All right. Sean McVay was the head coach when he had Raheem Morris. Zach Taylor, sorry. And Brandon Staley. He's under Sean McVay's tree. Brandon Staley is a McVay guy. LaFleur, Morris, Cohen, they're all McVay guys, right? There's, like you said, I understand what you're saying. Like, all right, if you're a coordinator and then the coach that you coach under, that's whose tree you're under. Yes, when it comes to like hiring purposes, but it goes even deeper than that. Saleh's not even really under Kyle's tree because Saleh's defensive philosophy came outside of Kyle. He brought that to Kyle. So really, Gus Bradley and them boys is really Saleh's true tree. That's who he cut his teeth under, not Kyle. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's just I just thought it was funny. People are so like, oh, what about giving Shanahan credit? He's a Shanahan guy. It's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. Yeah. He was not a coordinator under Shanahan when Shanahan was a head coach. You don't get to start a coaching tree when you were an offensive assistant under your dad and you had a guy that was under you in a pass game coordinator capacity. That's not a tree for you. That's not when your tree started. You didn't your tree didn't get planted to grow branches until you were a head coach. So that's where it starts. We're trying to give him false credit.
The funny thing about this is like it's like the equivalent of, first of all, they all came from Coach Walsh. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. They all came from Coach Walsh. If you really want to look at like the coaching tree, if it stems from Coach Walsh, Coach Holmgren, all right, you got Seifert, Dennis Green, Sam Weich, Ray Rhodes, and Mike White. And then it goes all the way out from there. John Gruden comes from that tree. All right. That's right there. One would even say that Kyle's not even from his father's tree. He's from Coach Gruden's tree because that's
Right.
where that's who he first worked for in the NFL. And then Kyle didn't even work for his father when he became a coordinator. He was Coach Kubiak's coordinator. All right, so one could even say that Kyle, when he became the OC at Washington in 2012, that was his first job outside of his tree because Coach Kubiak is the guy who put him on. So it all plays. Go ahead.
Well, there you go. Big Tone bringing it up. So I don't know. There's a lot. There's rules. I just, whatever. Anyways, who's the guy with the hat? Why does he always want to fight against the people? Feels like he battles people all the time. Is he talking about me?
You're the only one with a hat on.
I know, but what is he talking about? This is very, I don't know. I don't know what are you alluding to? What are you, can you give me more? I'm curious as to what you mean by that.
Elaborate for me, please.
Elaborate, please. Yeah. Anyways, Coach, good show. Once again, didn't get to any of our topics. It is what it is. This is what we do. But you know what that means is that we both either have a show next week that we can run it back, or we can run shows on our own with these very topics. So either
100%, we will be repurposing these topics on other shows.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing that for sure. All right, everybody, it was good to be back. It's been a while. Coach, always love doing these shows with you, man. I can't wait for next Monday. Post Super Bowl, curious to see exactly what happens, who wins the Super Bowl. Hopefully it's not Seattle. Anyways. Oh, not you, Jesse. I know who you are, obviously. Okay. He's talking about somebody. He's talking about somebody. It's very, I have a name. Anyways, appreciate everybody. Have a blessed night. We'll talk soon. Much love.